Hey everybody, Christian here, just letting you know this is part 2 of the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 review series thing, because that game is a lot longer than most of the other ones I've covered. If you want to see part 1, it should be linked in the description down below, and eventually part 3 will be linked whenever that comes out. That's all for now. Enjoy the video. The beginning of Act 2 might just be the lowest point in the game. Dustoff is dead, our party is in shambles, and our only ray of hope is this mysterious newcomer named Verso that will be assuming the role of protagonist throughout the game's second act. There's an interesting change now when you speak to other characters such as Esquier, and the other party members as well, where you'll get a notification saying your bond has increased. It may seem odd at first why it only started giving you Persona social links now, but if you think about it, Dustoff already knew everyone and had relationships with everyone involved, while Verso is more of a blank slate for everyone here other than Esquier, who, even though it starts at 0, will bond with Verso much faster than the rest of the gang. Now, it's time to finally start exploring the world. Now that we've begun Act 2, Esquier finally has the ability to swim, so the world has opened up a ton, and one of the first things you'll see is a giant walking through the ocean. That guy is a super boss and we're not ready to take him on now. But don't worry, we'll be killing him before Act 2 ends. But with our ability to swim, the world's opened up a ton. We're free to explore, find new items, nifty upgrades, and get a lot stronger. At this point, this is also kind of where the difficulty curve can get very all over the place, because it's so much more open. You can find enemies that are way above your level, and you can get items that are so overpowered that you will dominate a vast majority of the remaining story. And if you look around the world, you should find another manor door, this time chilling out in the overworld for some reason. These are in some ways kind of like a collectible in this game, actually, now that I think about it. And going inside, you'll not only get to see more of the manor, but you'll find yourself an upgrade for your energy tents, which is always nice. Now, against my better judgment, I did decide to fight the giant and learn that his name was Sprung. It went about as well as you'd probably expect it to. You'll also sometimes find these small areas that don't really have anything in them, just a single collectible and an interesting little backdrop to look at. Here at the White Tree, we find a memo written by someone named Isabel from Expedition 36. Her memo isn't anything super crazy, but it is a poem, which is kinda neat if nothing else. Now, while Sprung is firmly out of our league at this point, there is another challenge awaiting us in the overworld that, while hard, is doable, and I recommend you try and take it on now. Chromatic Jar is far tougher than anything we've faced up to this point, with a large health bar and devastating attacks that can kill you in one, if you're lucky, 2 shots. And this can hit multiple party members at once. But they are very counterable. See, this is a boss where you need to keep up the pressure, which seems like an impressive foe at first as well due to his high resistances to most damage types, but he does have one key weakness that makes him quite doable. You see, his lamp is in a permanent ritual mode, which means it will always take increased damage when shot, so a lot of this fight is all about scoring shots on the lamp itself in order to do the real damage to the Juggernaut, as that's the one place that doesn't have a big damage resistance. This boss is basically a dude with a big ass hammer. He's simple in what he does, but very effective at it, making him a genuine threat to deal with. But he's also very fun to counter and deal with all his attacks, because while challenging, the fight feels rewarding to get down, and I do think the music is pretty underrated here. And the reward for victory here is fantastic, as it gets you a weapon known as the Jarum, which I believe can only be dropped by this boss. It's a weapon for Mael that will be saving our ass in the post-game, especially against the super bosses, for reasons I will get into. Of course, that's not the only boss for us to fight, because there was that one giant foe that was a bit too much for us to effectively bring down back in Act 1, and that's the Burgeon. His health isn't as large as Chromatic Jar, sitting at only around 80,000, but without a big glowy weak spot that says shoot me here, and the fact that we're fighting the Burgeon without access to break arts, this fight can be pretty difficult, as he'll quickly absorb one of your party members, and then as his HP gets lower, he will absorb a second one, leaving you with just a single party member to get the job done, making him even more like Midgar's alum than he already was. But it is extremely worth your time to beat him, as you'll find a new Pictos here that gives you Healing Parry, which recovers 3% of your health for every parry. That's extremely good. We're almost done screwing around in the overworld and ready to continue the plot, but there's one more thing we need to do, as we've got ourselves a minigame to tackle. The Beach Raft Volley. It's a volleyball game, and just like JRPGs of old, it's a clunky minigame that might be harder than the final boss itself, and I kinda hate it, but at the same time, I can't help but laugh at it. Okay, that's enough screwing around, let's progress the game by heading to the old battlefield.
You'll get used to them. We're going to see a lot more.
If we hurry, we can cross before nightfall.
Wait. Could we bury Gustav?
I wish we could, but protocol is to keep moving. Gustav would understand.
We can look for a suitable place along the way, yeah? We'll find a nice spot.
Actually, there is a place. Past the quarry, out of sight of the painters. A tranquil haven, protected by magnificent trees. I think you'll approve.
Lead the way.
Let me show you something.
Hope you didn't think that just because we were in Act 2 meant that we were done with tutorials. We're getting attacked by an aggressive enemy that introduces us to the last major attack type that enemies can use, gradients. These are big, powerful single attacks or combo finishers that instead of being parried with R1, are parried with R2, and it doesn't matter how good or bad you've been parrying or dodging, this is a all or nothing sort of attack. Thankfully, they pretty much always have more generous parry windows, and in Mael's case, are a good way to get her into virtuous stance, which will let her do a lot more damage. These are high risk, high reward attacks, and I think their addition is fantastic, as it is the last thing the game really needs to put it over the edge, at least on the enemy's front. We've still got a ways to go before we're full powered. Here on the old battlefield, we have two goals: to keep moving and to find a burial spot for Gustav. But things aren't going to be easy, because the old battlefield is the land of a very powerful Nevron, known for being especially bloodthirsty. As you can probably imagine, the old battlefield is a place that was absolutely devastated by conflict and death between expeditioners and Nevrons. Although a vast majority of the death we see is the cause of a single standalone Nevron that is being hyped up throughout this level. There's actually not a lot of enemies present in this area. Instead, most of the Nevrons here are just fairly strong opponents that can be a good deal more demanding than what we've encountered prior. A land where only the strongest survive, or the occasional scavenger. Thematically, it's a cool level, and seeing these piles of corpses is definitely a distinct visual, but sadly the first half of it is pretty lacking in interesting level design, and the colors really scream late 2000s piss filter. Thankfully, the level design does start to get a bit more interesting as we progress through, as we'll start running through ruined buildings and destroyed remnants of civilization. It's a lot more going on than just flat areas with corpses around. The Chalier enemies are no joke. They hit hard and have some pretty tricky combos to get used to. I really wish we could use their power ourselves. If only we had a blue mage. There's also another interesting addition to this place, as this time around we have a new NPC of a fated individual. This one is a woman with long straight hair that appears to be far more aware of what's going on in the world and has no real interest in speaking with us. Keep her in the back of your mind for now, we'll see her later. And as you head a bit further in, you'll come across another chromatic enemy. This one's a bit more interesting. The Chromatic Luster is one of the most unique chromatics in the entire game, having the moveset of the Luster enemies, but also a gimmick based around fire and burning your party members. Given that the monster is on fire, he's the first boss, as far as I'm aware, to have a complete elemental immunity, where he'll actually absorb health from fire attacks instead of taking reduced damage, or no damage at all. His big gimmick is finding ways to inflict your party with burn, either with his combos or his explosion attacks, which, really, shouldn't explosions clear out the burning since they force the oxygen needed for fire to burn out of the area? Well, I guess there's plenty of air around us, so who cares. Anyways, and while he has low health for an Act 2 boss, he makes up for that with his ability to absorb the burns he puts on your party members in order to heal himself for a decent amount of HP. It can be a tough fight until you get your parries down, but to be fair, that's a statement that applies to most enemies in this game, if we're being honest. That fight was definitely tougher than average, but still no sign of the special Nevron, so I guess back to the trenches we go. We also have a battle against another Gestural Merchant, and this one fights like Noko did, where it's a small Gestural that grows giant. Most importantly is the paint cage at the end, which gets us a third chromatic elixir. Very useful going forward, as some of the late game dungeons are going to be very long and not easy.
Hey. You holding up? We're almost there.
Holding up. Everywhere we go, just death. Death and more death. Everywhere we go, just death. I don't want to see that anymore.
Look, my
I
Elliot.
thought you would understand. You said you spent your immortality burying the people around you. Doesn't any of this bother you? And you. Gustav's dead. How can you keep going like nothing happened?
We need to continue.
Why do you...
Mael. You know what we must do. When one falls. Come on.
Oh yeah, wasn't there a really powerful Neveron around here?
Are you hurt?
I'm fine. Thanks.
Ready?
Say hello to the Duelist, your introduction to Act 2 and where the game says, now shit is getting real. There are no gimmicks, no tricks, no easy way to cheese out Duelist. We're in Act 2 now, and the game is going to expect you to put in the work. Duelist has more demanding sword combos than opponents before him, the ability to stab his sword into the ground to create 3 fire pillars, and his sword is on fire, so it's even capable of burning you if you're unlucky. Plus, he has attacks like the swiping combo that incorporates jumps into the mix, and they're performed mid-combo instead of just being a finishing move, but with enough persistence, well, he'll eventually go down, like every other thing. Oh, if only it was that easy. Yeah, no, he's got a second health bar and now he turns into Pontiff Silistat, the Royal Aegis. And the general rule is that attacks he had in Phase 1 should be doubled, as he now has 10 hit combos and starts utilizing gradient attacks, as well as attacks that require multiple jumps in a row in order to properly dodge, and he can create clones with Stormblood, which has its own weird timing. This battle is very demanding, and by far, it's going to be harder than anything you've encountered in Act 1, but the music that accompanies the battle slaps pretty damn hard, and that makes it kinda worth it. This is your first battle where break arts really start making a difference, because being able to stop this guy from having a turn where he can attack potentially 10 times in a single combo is devastating. And we're not done, because when his second health bar gets below half, he can apply a new status effect known as Inverted, which will make you lose HP when you try to heal yourself, turning this into a bit of a burn phase unless you have a way to cleanse the status effect, which only really 2 moves so far you'll have likely can do that. This fight is tough, but with enough persistence, you'll come away with it. Just keep at it and don't give up.
Well, turns out this Neveron wasn't that strong, but you did well. You learn fast.
All this is what we're fighting for.
Okay, so now that Duelist has been dealt with, I just wanted to take this moment to say, I am an idiot! I played all the way up to this point in the game without realizing you can utilize your Lumina that your characters have to equip the passive skills you got from maxing out the Pictos. I was doing an unintentional challenge run for the first third of the game. Anyways, after this, really just continue through the area. You'll finally find a place you can lay Gustav to rest with a fairly emotional cutscene.
Couldn't wait for me, could you? I wish we could.
Rest easy, Gustav.
I'll finish what you started. The paintress, Renoir, they will pay.
No more dome. Just open skies.
I'll save them, Gustav. Emma, your apprentices, everyone.
You can leave it to us.
You were always there for me.
I'll save them.
Say hi to Soph for me, yeah?
We could never tell if you were my brother or my father. But to me, you were both. Best brother and father I've ever had.
When one falls, we continue.
Thanks for being my family. See you in the next life.
Well, that was sad. Anyways, after that, it's a lot of spending time with your party members, getting used to meeting with them, and I also picked up some handy skills like Energizing Heal for Ciel, since she's able to easily heal the entire party with Grim Harvest, so throw in some extra AP in the mix and you get yourself a nice little boost. After those cutscenes, it was just a ton of running around the overworld collecting stuff. Found this bizarre place called the Boat Graveyard. All that's here really is a record for your music player, but the imagery is just so different from a lot of the other stuff in this game that it kind of stood out to me. Also found a cave with a weird looking dude right in front of it. I chose to ignore him for now. And inside that cave there's this bizarre Leviathan creature that can't be interacted with in any way, as well as two Neverons that aren't completely hostile, but they're not exactly friendly either. They're weapon makers and they want you to test out their weapons. Unfortunately, testing those weapons means doing it via battle. And this duo is the Crueler and Bruler, which are here to show off their fancy new weapons and challenge you to an optional boss fight. Kind of. It's simple, but kind of fun, and if they had proper boss health bars, I would have included them in the boss ranking, but since they don't, I don't count them. But hey, once you beat them, you gain access to their weapon shop, which is always kind of nice. Other things of note in the world are a new Avake variant, the Frost Avake. It kicked my ass thoroughly. The other big thing is the Stone Quarry area that has a minigame Neveron where you want to help him by dealing with his music notes. Dodge the red notes and hit the green notes. If this seems vaguely familiar, like something you'd have done in another RPG you played as a kid but can't quite put your hands on it, maybe this will help. And if you look around some, you'll find this other area you can enter called the Painting Workshop. That sounds kind of important, and yeah, this place certainly looks in-gamey, to say the least. This is the Painting Workshop, an optional dungeon that surprisingly focuses on platforming more than anything else, as there's only one actual enemy here. And, I mean, with my terrible platforming skills, it ain't like I'm gonna reach the end of this place anytime soon. But when you do actually reach the end, you'll find a flag planted by Expedition 0 of all teams, and realize that this entrance has only one of the 3 keys needed to unseal and face off against the beast within. Yeah, this holds one of the game's super bosses, and we won't be able to come back here and actually kill this thing for a good long while. But, you know, that monster looks kind of familiar. Now let's head over to the train station.
Follow the tracks. They'll lead us to Monaco.
A train. Gustav would have liked to see that.
Is it true before the fracture, Lumiere had trains running throughout the continent?
Always running late, but running, yes.
To quote my favorite childhood YouTuber, the train is late! Anyways, Monaco Station is a very pretty area, but there's a distinct lack of enemies here, just the corpses of Grandis, so head on down to the station to see what caused all this, and maybe find some answers.
If Monaco's not here, that means... slow as ever, mon vieux.
Your reflexes remain sharp as ever. I approve. Esquire, did Verso pull you into another adventure? New friends.
Speak our language.
He had a lot of time to kill, so I taught him.
Ladies, could I interest you in a duel?
Definitely a gestural.
No point trying to talk until we've calmed Monaco down with a relaxing fight. Be careful though. Monaco's fighting style is a bit peculiar.
Monaco is Verso's old friend, but also a gestural, meaning he's partial to violence, so we have a boss fight against him on our hands here. Monaco can be tricky with his weird attacks and movements, but mostly he's like a blue mage, being able to use the abilities of enemies he's slain against you to do battle, which can make the fight tricky. Despite this being a party member, he's actually very much a real boss fight, and not a scripted cutscene. And he's kind of awesome if you ask me. Overall a fun fight and one I enjoy a lot.
No distraction, son. I'm really busy beating up strangers.
Noko, what are you doing here?
Noko, you said Nevron?
Oh. A stalact.
Well, yeah, that sounds concerning, and we're not done yet as we have ourselves another boss fight immediately after the battle against Minoko. This hulking behemoth is called the Stalact, and it's a giant ice boss able to change its affinity for what elements it has, making it a serious threat, or at least potentially a serious threat, especially up in these frozen environments. Unfortunately, this boss fight is a complete and total lie. He has the ability to swap elements, making him potentially a tough foe, but ultimately his health bar is so low, in fact it's lower than most of the Act 1 bosses, that he's really just here to be a tutorial for gradient attacks, which are basically your special limit breaks or super moves or whatever you want to call them, it's up to you. I don't know, there's just not much to this fight. It's another glorified tutorial, but this one just feels kind of unnecessary, or it feels like maybe they should have required you to get a second gradient attack and like actually have to build the meter up before you could win the boss fight. I feel like that would have made things more interesting, but sadly, we waste this awesome boss design on kind of a nothing fight. At least the cutscene afterwards is hilarious and deserves to be played in its entirety.
You found worthy friends, Verso.
Jealous?
What are you doing?
I just need the foot. Aha!
He transforms by collecting Nevron feet. Don't ask me how it works. I've never understood.
Now that we've had some good battles to warm the spirits, to what do we owe the pleasure of your company?
We're heading for old Lumiere.
Okay, bye.
Hey, come on. Hey. Hey, look. I know we failed before, but look, you doofus. Don't you recognize her?
Of course I do.
Then you know what that means. This is our shot. It might be our only shot.
This is your only shot. Out of the question. I will never join you again.
There will be a lot of fighting, though.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true.
There will be a lot of fighting.
Exactly.
Count me in then.
Good.
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 Yes, good.
Noko's coming too.
Oh, you are?
As a responsible parent, this is a superb idea. Let us go to old Lumiere.
And with that, Minoko joins the party as the 6th and final party member, and I think he's more than worthy of an addition to the team. I do recommend doing his tutorial though, because it provides us with a free healing skill. See, Minoko has a special monster wheel that cycles between 5 different suits, so to speak. If the skill is on the appropriate suit, then it has a bonus effect go off, or if it's on the golden suit, it also takes its bonus effect. These effects can be very good. You can have things like additional damage, regen on top of healing, forcing an enemy's break gauge to go up dramatically, etc. And Minoko is your blue mage because of this, so I highly recommend using him in your party quite a bit. He's a great addition, and he's probably my favorite party member even if he's not the strongest. He's still one that I like using a lot when I can. And also with the Stalact Slaying, the Grandis are back in the station, and you can start talking to them for potential side quests. It's ultimately up to you though. Now that we've gotten that handled, we've got some more optional stuff to explore, so run around the world a little bit more before we head off to Old Lumiere, which is our next destination. One of these optional areas we can explore after recruiting Minoko is, well, it's this place called the Carousel. And you have this thing that I hesitate to even call a minigame, because you just blast some of the ice chunks to get rid of it so you can get the carousel started again. It's kinda neat, but really not that interesting overall. See, as it stands, we have our primary objective, and that is to head to Old Lumiere now that we have a full party. We need to confront Renoir, but more importantly, we need to find a way to strike at the Paintress's heart to put a stop to the gamage. And that's where we'll find answers to do so.
How about a little verso magic to lighten the mood?
You mean the one that hurts like hell?
Yes, I mean the one that hurts like hell.
All right, I'll do it. Hi.
Not now, please. I'm working.
Hi.
Oh, Verso, there you are. How did...
Oh, what? Oh my... wow!
What is that?
Hi. I'm a pair of legs that can talk.
Verso?
We're both Verso.
You are so ridiculous.
Wait, how can your legs talk?
Ah, yes, I'm quite proud of that. Took a lot of training.
Does it? Does it hurt?
No, it doesn't.
Did you cut yourself in half? Did Minoko cut you in half?
Do you heal from the top or the bottom? Or do you have to bring the halves together? Hey, can you control the process?
So, if you're cut in half, does that mean you can be in two places at once? Can you go scouting with Minoko with your lower body, while your upper body stays here and talks to us?
Well, yeah, you see, I can go hunt Nevrons with my top half, while my bottom remains here cooking meals. Back in the days, that's what we used to do.
Can I... Are you...
Yeah, my hair is...
All that pain just to put a smile on their faces. Verso, aren't you getting too attached?
I know I'm showing these unedited cutscenes a bit too much, but I'm sorry, there's just so many good scenes in this game. Like, the Verso and Minoko scenes are hands down some of the best video game scenes out there. The interactions are just so damn funny, but also just kind of work. Anyways, remember that one boss I said to ignore a while ago? No, not the water giant, the weird one. Yeah, it's time for our first mighty challenge of the game. Gros Tete is a super boss, sort of? See, his stats are entirely too high, and there's no way on Earth we'll ever be able to deplete his health in a timely manner. It would take literal hours, and I'm talking some Yzmat tier bullshit. And he gets about 2 turns to your 1, and multiple attacks per each turn. So, how do you win? Well, simply put, you parry him. As Tete is a boss that's going to spam the same attack over and over again. He's that kid that spams the same move, usually a projectile, over and over again in a fighting game, where eventually they'll get worked up that their attack isn't working, and they'll start wanting to quit the game, and sure enough, after enough turns pass and you've parried him for long enough, he'll rage quit the boss fight and blow himself up, allowing you to defeat your first super boss, I say in massive air quotes. But he's very much worth your time, as defeating him gets you the unique monster skill Tete Whack that does good damage against enemies but also lowers their defense, making a great addition to most teams throughout pretty much the entirety of the story, though it will fall off in the post-game. But more importantly, you get the skill Warming Up, or I guess the Picto's Warming Up, where your damage goes up by 5% every turn that passes. This is going to be helpful in longer boss fights, unless you're doing a crazy one-shot build. But that's not all here for us to do, as there's another minigame you can find in the overworld on Agestral Beach, and hitting here allows us to take on an only up minigame? See, this is a bunch of impossible geometry that we have to find a way to climb. So, this challenge is literally just the game only up, and it can be just as annoying, but thankfully your character can grab ledges, so it's not quite as bad. You You have to get all the way to the top without falling off, and doing so with Monaco is the true hardest boss in the game, putting all the other challenges to shame. I don't recommend doing it as Monaco, it's not smart. And what do you find for reaching the very top? Well, you'll find yourself face to face with a bunch of Gestrels dancing forever and ever, and earning yourself a swimsuit from Monaco. Yay. I'd honestly be more annoyed if the absurdity of it all wasn't just so funny to me. There's also another Burgeon awaiting us in the overworld. One last thing before heading off to Old Lumiere is a side area we can head to called the Esoteric Lands. Here we come across an ancient spirit that you can ask some questions, but it's so old that most of our terminology is lost on it. It doesn't even seem to know what a Nevron is, which is kind of interesting to think about. This area is mostly just one of those puzzles where you have to make a path to the end and you're hitting switches that open some doors and close others. If you've played any old RPG or Mario Party, I guess, you know the kind. It's one of those where you're going to get stuck for a while and then all of a sudden it clicks and you get it done in about 20 seconds after that. Or you solve it by accident not knowing what the hell you just did. It can take a while, but once you get to the end you'll find an item you can use to restore the ancient soul, and it's revealed to be an ancient Portier Nevron. But you get the protecting heal Pictos out of it, which gives you shell whenever healed, which is pretty useful going forward. You can try interrogating him further, but he doesn't seem to be familiar with what a Nevron even is, so whether you choose to kill him or let him live is up to you from this point on. There's no continuing this questline as far as I'm aware. Now, that's enough stalling. It's time we finally head off to Old Lumiere. Now, it's time to head to Old Lumiere, and yeah, you see a city on the back of an impaled body. I don't know why, but this kind of reminds me of Radagon for some reason. Not important now, though.
Welcome, my friends, to Old Lumiere.
Is anyone still here?
Just Nevrons.
So this is where our piece of Lumiere used to be. Before the fracture ripped apart the world and threw us into the sea.
We're lucky it did. That's probably the only reason we survived.
The heart of the Paintress is in the center. Let's go.
We have our objective, and that's to reach the heart of the Paintress. Gear up and get ready. We've got ourselves a tough fight ahead of us. Unfortunately, as we get in, we quickly get blocked by an insurpassable wall, so Monaco tries to make a solution and break it open for us. Keyword on tries to.
Monaco! Why the hell did you...
Sorry, I fucked up. I just wanted to show off.
We just have to regroup. The others should be fine. Verso said the heart is in the center of Old Lumiere, right?
Right. Okay, Monaco. Stop crying. We have to move.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, so the main gimmick of Old Lumiere is that the party has been separated, so now you have to find a way to reach the ending of it using everyone. With our first set, we've got Monaco, Lune, and Ciel, which honestly isn't even a bad team, but hopefully you'd put some time into using Monaco or you're gonna be in for a bit of a rude awakening here. Thankfully, if you explore around, you'll finally be able to find the new Sorrow, which means there's now a new weapon for Monaco. But you'll also see a golden woman with a black hole in the distance. Feel free to forget about her, I sure as hell did, because I didn't go back to fight her until I was in the postgame. Otherwise, the primary enemies you'll come across in Old Lumiere are the Chevalier enemies that are extremely common around here and quite dangerous, coming in a couple breeds. You have your ceramic ones that are more prone to physical attacks, and the steel ones that are more prone to ranged lightning attacks. Either way, they're both tough, and I wouldn't want to screw around with either of them if I don't have to. And after pressing on long enough, you'll see golden light start to become far more common across the land, and you may even see the unlimited blade works looking thing in the body of the giant woman.
Doesn't that look like one of Esquier's stones?
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring him a gift. was surprised you agreed so readily to Verso's plans.
He seems to be our best bet for now. We lack too much information.
Do you trust him?
I trust that he wants to reach the Paintress, so for now, our interests are aligned.
He has been helpful. Still, I have this feeling he's hiding something.
Minoko, how did you meet Verso?
I don't really remember. I feel like I've always known Verso.
He mentioned traveling with other expeditions.
Quite a few.
How many? What happened to them?
What happened to them?
Maybe ask Verso when we find him.
Yeah, okay. Finding them comes first. Any idea what this is?
I'm afraid not. This is my first time here as well.
They were the ones that Verso was traveling with.
I believe so. They made it surprisingly far. An axon. Interesting. Verso is... Is this true?
Mael's with him.
We need to go. Now!
Verso would never harm her.
Can you stand? Minoko gets a bit carried away sometimes.
My back hurts, but I'm fine.
Good. The others are probably heading towards the center of the city. We'll rejoin them there.
Feels like home.
Yeah. Feels like home. You okay?
Minoko fits well in the disaster expedition, eh?
Yeah. It does. After you.
Now, we get to see things from the perspective of Verso and Mael, which is honestly easier despite having fewer party members, because both of them are absolute powerhouses. But, more interestingly, there's actually a special note you can find around this place.
Melanie, 5th of February. The Brigadiers are overdue from their mission to the Monolith, and we've lost half our remaining fighting strength to these creatures and their relentless assault. All adults have taken up arms, but I'm a bookkeeper. What am I supposed to do? Count them before they slaughter us? We've hidden the children. At least they're warm and dry in the cellars, but rations are running low. Things are calmer now at the hospital, but that's because most die before we can get to them. I guess I'm living out of pure stubbornness at this point. Survival isn't really survival anymore. Everyone's so quiet lately. Afraid it will draw attention. Sometimes I talk to myself just to hear another human voice. Trevor, you promised I could die before you. You promised.
Unlike the other notes so far, this one is not in our log at all. Personally, I feel like the game should have kept Simon and Julie's a secret as well, since their notes you won't find until the post-game anyways, but oh well. However, if you're a completionist, the existence of notes not in your log must be terrifying, as this means there's collectibles that are not marked in your list to check off. Good luck. Otherwise, I hope you've gotten comfortable against these chevaliers because you're now required to battle 2 of them. Thankfully though, with Verso and Mael, this fight is super easy.
We're a pretty good team. Verso? Verso? Putain. Where did he go?
And now, it's just Mael and Noko. This is our first time being alone since the very beginning of the game with Dustoff. And things are very dangerous here because while Mael is strong, she's kind of a glass cannon, so avoiding combat might be the more advisable option. Just be careful because I actually had a pretty embarrassing death here against some enemies because I tried to Leroy Jenkins my way in. So I really advise just running past things if you can. You'll know you've reached the end when you see a manor. Save and rest up because it's time for a major boss fight.
I knew you'd open the door for her.
Really, Verso? This was your plan? How many times must you hurt our family?
No, you don't get to lecture me on family.
Why do you refuse to see I am doing this for us? Yet you insist on rushing toward death. You're trying to stop the wrong cycle.
You're doing this for yourself.
Of course. It's easier for you to think that, isn't it? Easier to betray us if I'm the villain.
Verso, move. I'm gonna fucking kill him.
You haven't told her the truth, have you, son?
Sorry we're late. We were busy doing a bit of reading. Were you planning on sharing that this man, the man who murdered our team, is your father?
Family is not my favorite topic. Right, can we talk about this later? I'd really like for you all to survive this.
Our big boss of Act 2's first half is against Renoir, and unlike the fight where Gustav died, this battle is 100% real and you do have to win. However, while he does have some really strong attacks and the first instance of a party-wide gradient attack, he's not that difficult because he has surprisingly low durability at only around 90,000 HP, to the point I thought I was accidentally playing on easy mode. However, if you increase the difficulty to expert, this is an entirely different story. Now you'll actually have to engage with all of his attacks, as well as a gimmick where he can gather chroma into a ball, and he prepares to unleash upon you a gradient attack that you have to gradient counter, or he'll remove a party member from battle, and unlike Burgeon, this removal is permanent and fatal. Don't screw around with it. Then at half health he summons out some strange petals that can support him by healing well over 20,000 HP and even upwards of 40,000 if given the chance, and he has the ability to summon these strange masks, which hint at a future boss fight. This attack, honestly, isn't that dangerous compared to most of his other ones, but man do I suck at parrying it. On normal mode, this fight is uncomfortably easy, but on expert mode, this battle will give you the challenge you're looking for, as it came down to the wire with Monoko coming in clutch, barely scraping out a win here. Unfortunately for us, it's a fight against a major villain in the first half of a turn-based RPG, so we can't actually kill him here and now.
Everyone all right? Monoko?
Noko's broken.
So yeah, Noko died, the manor disappeared, and we've seemingly reached a dead end. But thankfully, the game finally decides to remember that the curator is in the camp with us, so hey, maybe he can help us out.
Why? What are axons?
They're massive creatures living on islands around the monolith. They're much stronger and much more dangerous than Nevrons. I can't die, and I still couldn't take them down.
Yet we found the corpse of one in old Lumiere, so it's possible.
I don't know how that one died. But I'm telling you, listen to me, please. Our chances of taking them down without you lot dying are close to zero.
Close, but not zero. Death is coming either way. And as expeditioners, if we die fighting.
Wonderful pep talk.
I know.
All right, if we're going to fight the Axons, then let's be smart about it.
What do you mean?
I've had a few rough encounters with the Axons. There are 3 located on islands around the monolith, and we need at least 2 hearts to get enough chroma. One lives on a mountain too high for us to reach, so that one's out. We should start with the one to the west of the monolith. It's already been weakened by previous expeditions, right?
Yeah, good idea. Maximize our chances.
Or we embrace the challenge and pick the one in the east.
I like your spirit.
Thank you.
Did you listen to what I just said?
We have our new objective. Find the Axons, kill them, and use their bodies to forge weapons strong enough to pierce the Paintress's barrier. We only need to beat 2 of them, but it seems like the one in the mountains is inaccessible, so it's out of the running for now. And in this case, it's more a game of just choose the order you wish to tackle your objectives in, even if one is objectively intended to be taken on earlier than the other. But before we do that, here's another great Monoko line.
Imagine you're in Nevron, and you see me. Charging toward you, brandishing the well-polished and gleaming leg of one of your brethren. Think of the intimidation.
True.
I love that dude so much. And that's all for this video. Stay tuned for part 3 in the future as we cover the rest of Act 2, and then parts 4 and probably 5 as we cover Act 3 and the post-game. Overall, Expedition 33 is fantastic, I can't recommend it enough, but it's a very long game. And I hope you've been enjoying this more segmented review style thing. This is kind of a practice run for me to test out longer games. Anyways, that's all for now, see y'all in the next part, and whatever future videos may come out. Take care.